Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Franco Fire. Franco, how you doing,
Franco
brother?
Fire. Doing really well. I've had a really good week, actually. Really good week. Been going back and forth to the gym, cycling, doing yoga. Really, I'm on it at the moment.
I love it, man. Your videos
Yeah.
you're posting in our private membership site for the guys that are alumni and going through the programs are inspiring and really a beautiful place you live, my friend.
Yeah, it is. It's summer's like the best, but yeah, there's these beautiful little. We've got a cycle path going up the river, so you got Swansea, and then you've got the Towie River goes up the valley there to where the gym is. So it's like almost door to door through beautiful scenery from my house to the gym. There's loads of little places like that around Wales.
Yeah, no excuses not to go, it sounds like to me.
Exactly.
Awesome. So, Franco, you had a couple interesting topics that you wanted to talk about on the podcast. So why don't you throw something on the table and let's have a discussion?
Yeah. So I'm going to throw, I was like, this vision came to me then, which I didn't like, but yeah, does size matter? Does size matter? I've spoken to a number of men about this on the calls, and they've shared with me, because we get into some deep stuff, that they don't think they're big enough in their trouser department. And what do you call them? Pants. Well, we call them pants. Yeah. So I thought it'd be a good one to talk about, because if a couple of guys have mentioned it recently, there may be more men out there that are wondering, am I big enough? Does it really matter anyway? So I thought we could get into that.
I think it's great. I also want to just highlight how uncomfortable it is to have this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's interesting that it's coming up for both of us. Because guys, if you're listening to this podcast, we also do this via video. So Franco and I can see each other. If you guys want to head over to YouTube, you can see our reactions. But it's what that shows me, Franco, is just in our culture, right? How much there's a stigma around these types of conversations. And that's why I love when you bring these to the table so we can actually have a conversation that matters about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, isn't it? There's so many women seem to be a lot more open about their insecurities, and it's all there for them, isn't it? It's part of the reasons why the Powerful Man exists, because women have got, I wouldn't say everything covered, but maybe they have, I don't know, but it's on daytime TV. There's however many women's magazines. It's, anything that they're going through, the conversation is there around them. I would imagine, anyway. I don't want to sort of make out as if I know what women are going through, but it seems like there's a lot of stuff that they can get into about whether it's their weight or whether it's other stuff. But for men, we don't talk about it unless we're lucky to have friends, family, where we just have these conversations. We get it on the table. We come up with, we're able to talk about it and work through it.
And I agree. So let's do that. Let's do that today. Let's have this conversation. I'm certainly happy to give my opinion and my experience in the situation, not only personal, but also in talking to the other men that we coach, as well as other women. Because I've actually had this conversation, Franco, many times with women, not just women that I've been intimate with, but also with female friends, my wife's friends, and then owning a gym. I've talked about this in the podcast. I had a private fitness facility, and it was 2 levels, right? So upstairs, I ran another company, and downstairs was this private training studio, and it was very intimate. And I share that with you guys because when I say intimate, sometimes it would just be one woman working with a female trainer on the space, right? And I would be upstairs just getting work done because I was a grinder back then, just getting it done. So it could be a weekend night or what have you. And these women would have conversations and they would lay everything on the table. And being upstairs, not eavesdropping, but it would go through the vents. And if it was quiet,
oh yeah,
I would hear the whole conversation. The trainers
up
knew.
to the control room. I can imagine you sitting there in that control room, like it's like a James Bond film or something.
So it was interesting to hear their take on this topic as well. So kind of a So what I can bring is a third person woman's point of view, not obviously not a first person, but then also mine. So what are your thoughts, Franco?
Yeah, well, I'm just really curious to hear what the feedback from the women was in the gym.
So I'm happy to share that. So
yeah,
size would come up. So here's what I'll say. I'll summarize it. Size matters, but not the way you would think, right? Size is like a bonus, more than anything. So what the women wanted more than anything was the energetic. They wanted, what they would say is they wanted a man, not a boy. And what they meant by that was somebody who was secure with themselves, who would take the masculine frame, and not a jerk way, but they wanted to be taken, for lack of a better term. They wanted a man that was going to take control in the bedroom. That was the most important thing, right? Size was a bonus, but how to give you an idea, there was one woman specifically I can remember her talking about, and apparently her husband wasn't well. What am I thinking? Endowed. Yeah, he wasn't well endowed. However, he was amazing in the bedroom, right? And she would talk about that, and so she didn't care. And the reason that conversation came up is because it was actually one of the trainers who was talking about another guy who wasn't well endowed. And she was like, "Look, my husband, he was just an alpha guy, wasn't particularly very attractive, but he was very confident in himself and very confident in his abilities, and he delivered in the bedroom." And so his wife was like, "I don't care. I don't need any more." And on the flip side, I've also heard women talk about men being too big, where it's not pleasurable.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So that's the same, it's the other side of the same coin. But what I keep coming back to for me, Franco, is, it's not the size of the boat, so to speak. It's how you drive the boat. Right. And so knowing what turns your wife on or your partner on, being able to know yourself enough to know what turns you on, having fun in the bedroom, being confident in yourself, which starts with a lot of the things we teach in the activation method, right? It's the shadow stick man. So we do shadow work, and we're also really building that solid foundation. I mean, the Alpha Reset is by far the best thing to really understand who you are as a man. The guy you knew was always there. You're just like, where the hell is he? And calling him forward, you bring that guy into the bedroom, the penis size is not even secondary. It's not even tertiary. It's so far in the distance. Right. And then size really doesn't matter, even if you're big, because the truth is, from my understanding, a woman's going to birth a baby. So when she says a man's too big, often, not always, and I'm not an expert in this, man. So guys listening to this is my opinion, but she's birthing a child. So I'm guessing you could fit. But if she's just not turned on enough at that moment to be able to do that. She's not wet enough. Kim Anami, who's a woman I used to follow, she teaches women, orgasm, sensuality, sexuality, but she also has some stuff for guys. Like, hey, guys, here's point of view. What she says is you never penetrate a woman until she's dripping wet.
That's very good advice.
Yeah. So in my experience, if I was talking to these guys, Franco, I want to hear your take too. And otherwise I'll keep going. But in my experience, what a woman wants in the bedroom is a man that's confident, a man that's there for himself and for her. Right. There's a lot of theories that the women comes first, right? Women orgasms first. Easy for us, right? We're like microwaves, 30 seconds for most, guys can make it happen if they want to. Most guys hold off. They don't want to do that. Some guys, for some reason, don't have the choice. But a woman's like a slow boil, as we say. And, you really got to start. And we've talked about this a lot in the podcast, and I'm going to keep bringing it up. So I apologize to Amelia. But Tim's partner said, look, if you want to have sex with me on Saturday, that starts on Monday, right? You got to start that process on Monday for Saturday. And that's just an example.
Yeah, I would add in that it's not that it takes that long for a woman to get aroused. It's Correct. That you can fuck it up over that period of time, and that'll piss her off to a state that she won't get aroused. That makes sense, because if a woman sees let's say a woman sees her what's the word, archetypal type of alpha, she's going to be the same as a man. She's going to get turned on quickly. If that, if someone comes in and saves her, fireman puts her over her shoulder, and then she realizes, shit, he's hot as well, then it can be just as quick. But that's the way I look at it is, and I don't want to come across as negative when I'm saying that, because there's things you can do on a Monday that can build up the energy as well. But that's the way I would look at it. It's more about, she's yours, unless you give her a reason to be otherwise.
Yeah, and
that makes sense.
I totally agree. So I'm going to go back to the analogy of what I'm trying to get over here, and we'll get back to penis size here in a second. Don't worry. But if you always have your stove, you always have some water that's just about to boil, and so you're constantly percolating the water. It's easier to get it to boil fast, right? So if the woman's arousal, let's just say it's your wife, because now it's not the fireman thrown over the shoulder, so to speak, right? If you constantly are flirting with her, you're constantly showing up as a powerful man, she will always be on the slow boil that you just have to turn the heat up a little bit to get her aroused and ready to go. And that's something that took me a while to learn, Franco, because as a guy, I was so I was so in the zone with the business, right? Then I'd come home and I'd be here, and then I'd be dad, and I would forget. I'd literally have to set reminders on my phone to be in that state, right? To constantly stoke that flame to make sure that boil didn't go out. And it takes practice over time. So it's not like, dating, you can hook up, it's easy because there's that mystery is automatically in there. But when you're in the day to day, with your wife and you guys see each other, you wake up, you got the sleep in your eyes. She doesn't have makeup on, or, mascara's going everywhere. You're wearing your sweats from college, whatever. You guys don't look your best. You still need to create that mystery in there, and you still got to set the scene. So where it comes down to penis size, right? I would again say size matters, but it only matters as much as you're not doing the other things, right? And it's never it's never, in my experience, it's never the thing. It's never the issue. It may be the thing that comes up, right, in our mind because we can see it. Maybe the thing that she attacks you with because she's hurt, and so she knows she can take you down.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why I was going to say, I mean, you brought up a great point about the mindset of that guy who was alpha but didn't necessarily have a big chopper, So I would say the reason why size doesn't really matter is because for women, it's, I don't know what percentage it is, but it's overwhelmingly mental and emotional when it comes to sex. So the guy who lives in his own reality, is super confident, larger than life, and it's not an issue for him, okay, then it's not going to be an issue for her. That's the way I would sum it up. Now, there are distinctions. So, for example, in a dating context, we all know that women have their shopping list of things that they want. They might want a guy over 6 foot. They might want a guy with hair. Like anyone who's watched the podcast before knows I don't have any hair. So, in a dating context, women will have their shopping list, right? And they might, I've read this in different places. They want six-figure income, at least over 6 foot 6 inches in, at least 6 inches in the pants, and what was the other one? The 6-pack, and there might be another 6. I don't know, but the whole point is that's just their shopping list, and maybe men are a little bit different. We don't have very specific shopping lists. We tend to go with what feels good, maybe. I don't know, but just in the same way, because women do this as well. I'm sure you've either heard of or dated a woman who wore chicken fillets in her bra to pump up her breasts, to make her breasts look bigger. So what she's hoping when she's doing that is that you're going to like her enough to not care that she's a little bit smaller in her breasts by the time you actually see them in the flesh, because you've kind of fallen for her, and that she's maybe her eyelashes are a bit false or whatever else is going on. But that happens on both sides, doesn't it? It happens on both sides that, well, actually, I think you're great, and that doesn't bother me. You've got maybe, I don't know, stretch marks, or I always remember dating a girl who sometimes I wear my hat, sometimes I don't. Like that particular girl, when I met her, I wore my hat, and then when I um, turned up for the date, I was wearing my hat. Okay, and because I used to be insecure about losing my hair, but now I'm not. It doesn't bother me. But it was like, oh, she hasn't seen me without my hat, so I took my hat off, and I was thinking it's going to be interesting to see her reaction. She was like, oh, I love bald men, and she just jumped on me, But everyone's going to have their shopping list, and it's going to be more important for some women than others. Okay.
Sure.
But what I would say is this: even the ones there's for every woman who thinks I've got to have that on my shopping list, there's a woman who used to have that on her shopping list, but now realizes that's not important at all. Okay, maybe the same for men. So, and yeah, so if you're white, if you're married, if you're in a committed relationship, and you guys have had passionate sex in the past, and now you're starting to doubt whether your penis is big enough because she's either called it out, or like you say, in an argument, or as a way of attacking you, or if you're just starting to get paranoid about certain things, then I would say you can definitely, if you've had passionate sex where she's been really into it, she's loved it, then you can get back to that. It's got nothing to do with your penis size.
100%. I agree with you. And I as we were talking, because I didn't know we were going to have this conversation, I just did a quick Google search on the average penis size, because I think we'll just throw it out there. And there's actually scientific research. Can you imagine that study? We're looking for a group of 10,000 men to come in here.
But, so what is it? I think it's 7 inches.
No,
6 inches.
No. So the average penis size is between 5.1 to 5.5 inches, which comes out to 12.95 centimeters to 13.97 centimeters. And this is so much as searched on Google that Google has so many, the people asked and suggestions. Let me give you another thing where it talks about men with penis sizes over 7 inches are exceedingly rare. And the original Kinsey penis size survey found that only 2.27% of men have a penis size between 7.25 and 8 inches. So when you're watching porn, every dude's got a 10-inch cock, right? But the average guy is between 5 and 5.5 inches, or if you're looking at centimeters, that's about 13 to 14 centimeters. That's the average. So what does that mean? That means there's men with smaller penises and there's some men with bigger ones, but the average, right? And most guys don't want to think of themselves as average. I get it, But if I said the average ear is this size, you wouldn't be, oh, shoot, my ears are bigger or smaller. You wouldn't care. So it's the emotional baggage that we put upon, the size of our cock at the end of the day. And the key with when we say size doesn't matter per se, again, I'm saying size does matter, right? Because, it just does, but it's not the only thing. You got to get rid of that mental baggage, because you'll take that mental baggage of, oh, my penis is too small into the bedroom, which will show up as lack of confidence. It'll show up as insecurity. Your insecurities will come in and you won't be able to connect as much. In that instance, size does matter because it's between your ears that is really getting you caught up.
Let's say there's a guy who is single and he's got a big package. If he's got no skills, no confidence, no ways of connecting with women, attracting women, he's not even going to get there.
No.
Okay, because it's not like women with they can put their breasts, they can put the shape of their body in the way they dress. Okay, we could turn up like one of the gladiators or whatever, show off our pouch maybe, but for most men, it's not even going to work as a strategy. So yeah, I think in some ways it could be, if you've got okay game, then it could be like a foot in the door, but it's a bit like being a good looking guy. It's not enough.
Yep.
It is. We all know. I know plenty of guys who are very good looking, but not necessarily great with women. And it's the same. It's the same with penis size, and even less so with penis size because it's not even on show.
It's not even on show
most of the time.
Yep. Yeah. And so what my guess is most of these men who are concerned about their penis size, really it's because they're not having sex as much as they could. Right. And so they attribute it to, why is my wife A, not enjoying my in bed, or B, why is she not, pulling me into the bedroom as much, and going through there. In fact, we just had a post from a guy that's in the inner circle into workplace, and he was talking about how his sex life has changed since going through the activation method and the alpha reset. And he shared this, and guys share a lot in there. And he wasn't sharing it to brag. He was just sharing part of his journey. And his wife sent him a text, and he has a screenshot. I'm going to read it here real quick. Obviously, I won't say his name, but his wife says, "Come get me. I've been waiting. I'm in the sex room." He goes, "Okay." He replies, "Okay, 1 second." And she replies back, "Come fuck me now." Right? Going from a sexless marriage to getting that text message, his dick didn't change by going through the program, right? And not at all. The way that he approaches life changed. The way that he respects himself has changed.
That's a really good point, actually, because his dick size hasn't changed. But you know what? In her mind, maybe it has, because she sees him as larger than life. Yep. It's like, I've literally had girlfriends who've said, "Why don't you grow your hair?" Okay. And I've been like, "What do you mean? Why don't I grow my hair?" And they genuinely think that I could grow my hair back. They just think I shave.
You look great with an afro, by the way.
Oh yeah, I mean, an afro comb over. Yeah. But that there's a lot in that, because she will, if you have a larger than life personality, and I don't just mean a caricature where you play this role and whatever. I mean where we talk about fully activating yourself as a man. This is coming from inside you, and it's authentic and it's real, and you have presence, you have energy, you have purpose, all of these things. Then yeah, she will actually see you as, it's just in the same way when she feels physically and emotionally safe with you, she will think you can protect her against the world.
Yep.
Even if logically she knows that's not possible. Okay. And it's the same with, and you can and one of the things I would do is definitely joke about it. It's never put yourself down about it. If you think if you are, like Doug's just giving you the average size, if you are below average, or worried that average isn't good enough or whatever, then I would definitely be playing off the back of that and, making out that you've still got the best cock in the world, and whatever reasons you've got why. It's all about what you're projecting out about it.
Yeah. And guys, there's a lot of ways. If you're not making the bedroom fun, we've talked about this before, Franco, there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can introduce toys, right? And again, now I'm stuck on this Google page. I'm going to be targeted all over the internet. But, one of the most searched thing is 4.5 inches erect a good size, right? So there's a lot of guys out there that are 4.5 inches or less that are asking this question. And hey, look, guys, bring toys into the bedroom. You can do oral sex. There's all kinds of other ways of stimulating, right? And by the way, women have different types of orgasms. There's clitoral, there's cervical, there's all kinds of things that you can play into this. So don't get caught in being a one-trick pony, so to speak, in this game as you go through it. And like you're saying, here's an analogy I like to use. And I used this when I was single and dating, and it applies today for me anyway. So if I were to give you guys, I want you to really imagine that you have $1 million or £1 million. You have a choice. And you can invest in 2 different stocks, right? Stock 1 is staying the same. It's stable. You're going to get about 1 to 2% growth. Maybe it'll keep up with inflation. I don't know. And you have stock 2, and stock 2 is on a hockey stick like growth. It is ramping up. This thing is friggin' hot. Where are you going to put your money? Right? Obviously stock 2. Now, obviously it could be volatile. Who knows? Well, you get the idea, but you're going to go there. And so when this guy who got this text, he's on a hockey stick like growth trajectory as a man. What do you think his wife was thinking? Like, probably before, no offense to him, but he was on stock one, maybe keeping up with inflation, probably not. He was lowering his actual value. And now when he's increasing his value with his own personal growth, and he's not being fake, he's just being the authentic version of him. He's allowing that authentic version to come out. His wife's looking at him like, woohoo, I hit the lotto here, right? His wife, because you think your life is worth more than $1 million, £1,000,000. His wife is fully invested in him. And now she's realizing she's got the man, right? She's got the man. And it's not like you said, his dick hasn't gotten any bigger, I don't think. We did a course on sexual mastery, a master course that talks about ways of gaining a little bit of size, because you can do that, guys. And it's not these pills you just pump in. That's not the way to do it. But, I don't think that's the only thing he's been focusing on. I don't think he's gotten an extra 4 inches by taking that course. What's happened is he's just become a powerful man. And his wife sees that. And his wife wants to send him text messages like that and, have a good time.
Yeah. And there are many other mechanical parts. For example, voice. You've talked about areas of her body that you can focus on, the clitoris and all of these things. And yeah, voice is a huge one. Eye contact.
Yep.
Body language. All of these things can actually get her aroused. Whereas someone with a big chopper might not be doing any, I'm sure there are plenty of women that have, like you say, one of the challenges is like, it could be so big that it's painful, especially if they're not turned on.
Yep.
And then also they're just not engaging. They're not fun. They're not exciting. They're not a strong masculine leader to go along with that, or maybe they are, but they're not sensitive on the other side, because most women need, especially in a long-term relationship, need the connection as well.
Yeah. What's interesting, what comes up for me right now, Franco, and I agree with everything you're saying, is so many guys know their way around a car, right? And they might trade their car out every 5 years, and they learn the new car, or better yet, software program or your computer. I got to learn Zoom. I got to learn how to change the backgrounds. I learn all of these things, and I know my way around them. Yet the thing that most men complain about, not getting laid enough or having knockout sex, very few men that I speak to that haven't gone through our program, and some guys that have, don't know their way around the female anatomy. Right. The one thing that they're so focused on to give them pleasure, et cetera, they don't even know. And so, guys, that's nothing against you, because you're not taught. It's not thought of as manly to talk about where the clit is and how to stimulate a clit. Right. It's just not. But you want to know this stuff, this information. It's great you can fix your car. It's great you know how to do it. It's great that you know all the software, how to program a computer. But do you know how to turn your partner on? Do you know the actual physical anatomy that goes on and what happens there? And if you don't, that's okay. It's not your fault. I totally get it, because we're not taught it. But we want to seek out that information. You want to be able to have conversations like Franco and I are having here, and guys in the Brotherhood and other guys are having these different groups that we run. These are the conversations that guys have, and they're uncomfortable sometimes, right? Because you kind of squirm a little bit and you're like, oh crap. I know where the clit is, but do you go left, right, center, circle, stop, hard? What is it? And so you want to look at that and look at the fact that maybe you haven't taken the time to dive into it. And what I can tell you is that is by far more important than the size of your cock. By far.
Absolutely.
Your penis size is just an excuse.
I would add in, as well as knowing what's under the hood, so to speak, with her, is also what's in her mind, in her heart. Because if you really become a student of, well, two things: female psychology, which a lot of men are not. I became a serious student of female psychology, I would say 4 or 5 years ago. And if you combine that with knowing her inside out, what's going to turn her on might not turn another woman on, and so on, vice versa. So there are all these different, you can give a woman an orgasm without even touching her with your voice. A hypnotist could do that.
I've never done that.
I have actually done it. It's a lot of fun.
We'll talk off air, because I got to give you.
But yeah, I mean, no, it's there's so many different ways you've got. So I think that's the message.
Yeah, and there's so much out there. And so, and wrapping this up, Franco. So, guys, if you're out there and you're just worried, right? You're worried about your size. Again, I Googled it. You can Google the studies, grab a ruler, grab a tape measure, right? But I can also almost guarantee for you that that's not the issue, right? It's just not. Now, it could be a issue, but it's not the issue, right? Coming down through it. So we really wants to start by working on yourself. And it's going to sound cliche, but it comes down to doing, getting activated, right? We call it the triad of connection, starting there. That's why we start the men off on that triad of connection, which is the clean slate method. Allows you to get the scales balanced in your relationship, get back. So, at least your stock, so to speak, isn't losing money, get back on even footing ground. And then use the hidden motives technique to really switch things around and they'll live like a king system, right? It's the triad. Three things that are in the triad connection. It's our basic kind of 101 for men, for married businessmen to get on. And when you have the live like a king system, you're able to continue this. And that's exactly what this other gentleman that I was mentioning that got that text from his wife. It's exactly what he did. You stick to the basics, you execute on them, you master the basics, you move on, you learn new techniques, you master those, you move on. Just like you do in any other area of your life. The difference is we weren't taught this as men. We weren't taught to be powerful men. We were taught to be nice guys. And guess what? It doesn't friggin' work.
Absolutely. And even when I think back of the friends I've had who have taught me one or two things, they're not always around, are they? It's like, and maybe we do that for other men in our friends that, we've grown up with as well. But that's what I love about, one of the things I love about the Powerful Man. It's all there. You've got all the support. You've got, if there's something you want to do, there's someone who's figured it out, and you can find them and get the blueprint, get the support, get the accountability to stay on track, because you might already have a formula that works, but you just need to stay on track.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if any of this resonates with you, let us know. In fact, guys, what we're called to action here, I'm curious. If we brought on a woman to answer your questions from a woman's point of view, what would you want to know? Go over to the Facebook group, right? Just search The Powerful Man if you're not a member. Now, you do need to be a business owner to be in there. Right now, we're currently only working with married businessmen. That is what we specialize in. We have a freaking great track record with that. But go ahead and put a comment in there. I'll put a post. And we'll get some of your questions and we'll bring in some women for a female's perspective. You can get my perspective, Franco's, Tim's, Ryan's, and some of the other coaches, but we'll bring in a couple women to actually give you a woman's perspective and a woman's point of view so you can hear it straight from the source, so to speak. Franco, as always, man, great to see you and always love having you on the show.
Great to see you, Doug.
Guys, as always, in the moment of insight, take some action. Until next time, we'll see you on the Powerful Man Show.